Hey, what's going on, guys and gals? Troy, ATXRC Productions, Chef PV, drone, multi-rotor tips, tricks, reviews, unboxings, all that stuff. Today, you see a bunch of copters in front of you. They're all FPV copters. We are going to be talking about a couple of things, but a lot of what we're going to talk about are things you're doing wrong or things that people think they're doing right in trying to progress or trying to get better or make their copters better. And when I say things you're doing wrong or the wrong way of thinking and things like that, please do not take me for some expert. I am no professional pilot. I have not entered very many actual competitions, but I fly as often as I can and I fly my way. And I am actually one of the guys that I'm technically talking about. When I first got into this almost 2 years ago, into the FPV stuff, I fought everyone. Everybody told me what I should do and how I should do it. And I did for the most part. You know, I took their advice. I'm going to do my own first build. But components and stuff, I didn't always go the right way. And I didn't really learn what people were trying to teach me because I thought I knew better, or at least I would be better off bumbling through it because that's just the way that I learned. Well, that first copter cost me 3 times what it should have probably. I ended up selling it when it was in decent condition and flying. Richard, if you're out there watching, thank you. I hope you still enjoy it. I know last we talked you still technically had it in pieces and doing different things with it. But I did everything the backwards way. I tried self-level and Horizon, all those different modes. I used CC3Ds all the way up until January of this year. Not a problem. The CC3D is actually, do not listen to people. It's a great board. It's an F3 board. It's fantastic. It can do lots of things Naze 5s can't. I basically, though, I didn't take a lot of advice and run with it. I didn't even really stop and care to think about it because I was trying to learn my own way. It's bullheaded. I made some enemies. I made some great friends. But I just want to say, when you ask a question and somebody answers by kind of telling you might be asking the wrong question, just stop and listen. And more importantly, if anybody or you're looking for any kind of advice and somebody gives you an answer and you decide that you want to take that answer, before you do, ask them why. Why is it that you say this copter is better than that one? Listen to what they say and decide, they have good reasons or are there reasons maybe petty? Is there a reason maybe actually that this guy's giving them free frames? I don't know. But just remember, not every answer is the right answer. Not every question is going to get an answer. It might get a, hey, let's ask this question instead. So yeah, I just want to say that. I have never been one to push my opinion on somebody or my line of my answer. And the only thing I do is I will push them to the point to where they finally realize that it's actually a critical thinking point, that whether I'm right or wrong, rethink everything in your own perspective after gathering the information and just don't start veering off in one way. So, Voodoo 210, my baby. This is my best copter I've ever had, all around beater. The frame you see now is actually the second frame that I ever had for it. The first one I actually did not break. I did buy another frame for it because I wanted a 4mm version because the other one was getting beat up. And then I have had since then the V2 4mm frame that I did finally break a Voodoo frame after almost a year and a half. So great frame. It's been through plenty of electronics changes, but the frame itself flies awesome. I love it, and I'm going to use it as my demo copter to talk about the next thing. So, self-level, Horizon, I don't even know what it's called and everything. Rootytoot is actually a form of it, which is probably the only real form that I've used that I'd say could teach you something. I'm all down for maybe using Rootytoot only in the beginning stages of learning. My opinion on the best way to learn FPV. Rate mode, acro, whatever your flight controller calls it. And everybody says that and told me that, and I tried it and I couldn't learn it, and I just basically said, screw this, I'm going to go to Horizon, I'll learn how to fly that way, and I'll eventually switch, and I'll put it on a lever where I can actually mid-flight switch. I did that for a long time. I never got any good. And I couldn't really figure out why until I finally just dove off and I went rate. And it took me literally 2 packs to get the feel for it. And once I started getting the feel for it, I started realizing that I was fighting everything I had thought I knew. And I actually went back and I tried to fly in self-level mode again, and this time I did it line of sight. And actually, line of sight with self-levels and Rootytoot, that's great. And that's good for learning the very first basics, which is spatial awareness. And that's the only thing I can call it, and I don't know what it really is, but I've taught people how to fly using this kind of term and this idea. My spatial awareness to me is when I put those goggles on and I take off and fly, I know where I started and I visualize in my head as I'm flying where I'm at, in front of me, behind me, wherever I am flying, I'm picturing that's where the copter is. It allows me to find my copter very quickly, usually when I crash. Use your DVR also. Make sure you have DVRs back up. People get astounded or kind of don't understand how quickly I can kind of know. Like they're like pointing me in the right direction, and I'm like, no, dude, I got it. I'm already there. It's all about, again, I'm visualizing, and it lets me fly better. When I'm flying and I know that I'm way over there, 200 yards, and I'm dipping through some trees, well, I want to cut right because I know where I am, and I want to start flipping back that way. So just spatial awareness. So the best way to learn that is going to be to get orientation of the copter and understand how your spatial awareness reacts and how you move it, is to pick maybe a column or a tree or two trees or two columns, and you basically line of sight, start nose out, which means nose away from you, so where everything is the correct direction, left is left, right is right. And you start flying, and you fly out to the pole and around the pole and back, and then do a loop and go back. So you do that a couple times, and it sounds stupid, I know, but trust me, it's so much more fun when you start realizing, like, wow, dude, I'm flying this thing really cool. So you can do this in level mode, and it'll help. Around and around and around. Now you have two. Maybe try to loop around one and back around and then come. And then just start trying to fly some line of sight loops around both and some figure eights. And just keep repeating. And next thing you know, you're going to be flying line of sight around objects, and you're really going to be kind of making yourself, feel better about yourself. You're going to be like, wow, I'm pretty good. Maybe start flipping it into rate mode at this point and starting to learn to do the same thing in rate. Now you technically should be much more ready for the third pack, which for me, I say do it for 2 packs. Third pack, put it in rate mode, throw the goggles on, and let's try it. You are going to crash whether you're in rate mode or you're in horizon or self-level, whatever. You're going to crash. I would say that you're going to crash less hard in the rate mode because you're going to be more tentative and more likely to quickly stop and basically disarm, which is another big tip. When you're first learning, just disarm. If you get in trouble, you don't know where, just disarm. You're about to crash, you hit a tree, you might be able to, don't try to fly it out, disarm. You might cut an ESC wire, you might have bent a prop, you might have lost something, your camera fell off, disarm, go pick the copter up, look at it, and examine it. All right. The main difference in why trying to teach yourself rate versus level is this. In self-level mode, your radio, right here, the throttle stick, when you use throttle in self-level, causes the copter to go up and down very, very differentially. So the input basically causes a large change in the altitude. When you fly, you have to pick you throttle to the position of the level you want to go, and then you start pitching, right? And then you slightly, when you pitch, you're going to lose a little bit of altitude, but then you start increasing your throttle a little bit, and next thing you know, your throttle's, midpoint, your pitch is full forward, but you're not flying that fast, and you're really only flying at a pitch at about like this. And every time you let off the sticks, it stops and it starts going up a little bit, right? In rate mode, yes, the throttle hovers you and gets you off the ground. And then it gets you to a point to where, yes, you can start gaining some altitude, and you're gaining altitude. If you're not moving the pitch, yes, the throttle is just straight altitude, up and down, fast. You can go way high, okay. But once you begin the pitch, your throttle can basically maintain a steady position, and you can still go up and down some in altitude with your pitch. So by pitching up and down, much like, say, an airplane, you're flying forward and you pull back on the stick, you're going to start going up. Now, how fast and how far your copter ends up going up before it basically kind of stalls is going to determine on the throttle. So you still have to move the throttle. But what I'm saying is the relationship of throttle and pitch commands now are linked together in a feel that makes you feel like you're flying. It's not like you're driving a car and you're giving it throttle and you're giving it turn and pitch and yaw and all that. So they are completely different, and the sticks command and the way that the copter will actually physically move within space. This is why you're killing yourself if you're trying to fly in level mode. Even if you tell yourself, I'm going to switch, or hey, I have it on a switch and I flip it, I did the same thing. Once I went rate, you can look at my videos in the past. I went from flying very basic and tentative and all over the place, and now I have much more command over my copter. I'm not the greatest. I don't at all try to be the best pilot, but I am sharing my experiences for that reason. So take a look at what you're doing. Tuning is key. I'm not going to tune your copter. I'm not going to even attempt to tell you how to tune your copter, but you need to learn how to tune. It is not hard. It is a matter of jumping in and just trying. Before you tune the PIDs, get the rates and your expo, no matter which system you use, which firmware, get them dialed in. And what the expo does, and many people don't realize, is it smooths out the jerkiness of your flying. When you're looking at your playback and you see that you're jittering as you're going down, not oscillations, but you're going kind of back and forth, trying to keep correcting, overcorrecting, that is expo. You can smooth that out by making your center stick, which means the higher the expo, the larger the movement of the stick has to be before it starts to really command the copter. So with a larger expo, you have more room of basically you can nudge the stick and you get just light, smooth turns, right? And then once you reach that the edge of where expo is set, then it becomes where it's going to start rolling and flipping. So command that expo, control your expo to a point that makes you fly smooth for your style. You're not going to pick an expo from everybody, but start bumping it up really high. Get a high expo, go fly. Just quickly, do a quick round of tree and back. Feel how it felt. Okay, I like it, I didn't like it. Turn it up, turn it down. After you get there, tune your rates. How fast do you want to flip? How fast do you want to roll? Get those right, and then dive into PIDs. There's some great videos on PIDs. Just take a look at them. My personal opinion, watch Bruce's explanation of past, future, and present. It does help. Don't let it be the cure-all, be-all, but think about it that way. And then start changing your P until you get the oscillation. Then drop it down a little bit. It's actually not a little bit, it's quite a bit. And then your Ds are going to really drive in how locked in it's going to feel. So just play with them. I played with them. I was very hesitant, but I finally did, and you'll be amazed how quickly you can get your copter feeling much better. And then you'll be able to fly that rate mode even better. But the biggest thing, fly rate mode. Control your copter's altitude with the pitch and the roll and all of that. Do not control it with the throttle the way that self-level is making you do it. You're killing yourself, homie. You're killing yourself. Fly safe, fly smart. I hope I helped some guys out. If not, I know I'm just here rambling, but fly for fun, guys. Flash FPV. Peace.